We continue here at the Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. Joining us now, a guy who's probably been here more than a few times, but is here for the first time as a head coach. New Jaguars head coach, Liam Coen. Liam, congratulations and welcome.
Thank you so much, guys.
Congrats, man.
So we're going to continue the discussion that we were having beforehand, and I'll get everybody up to speed.
Yeah.
You have specific recollections as a child of watching this big Sasquatch knucklehead's high school film.
When you talk about a pure stroke, he had a pure stroke. Yeah, my dad was recruiting one of his high school teammates, and I grew up watching that film. I grew up watching him play the position, his footwork, his rhythm, the way that he pushed the ball. I only could pray to have that kind of arm strength. I never had it.
Wow.
But I watched you play for a long time and have a ton of respect.
And emulated the throwing
I
motion,
did.
even though
it
you
was
were
so
right-handed?
pure. It was
Emulated
so pure.
it?
It was so
you
pure.
Hear that? You hear that?
Wow.
Pure.
It was.
You hear that?
It was.
Okay.
That's the only thing pure
Yeah,
about
hey.
it, except his choice of.
Hey, the carriage, you had a great carriage.
Thanks,
It was
man.
smooth. It came out of your hand so naturally, and try to emulate that.
We were a squad that year. We were the number 4 team in the country,
Guys
by the way, that year. We were good.
Oh.
We were good.
Oh, yeah.
We were legit.
Oh yeah,
We
it
were.
showed.
All
As,
right.
as a coach,
Yeah.
okay, you allowed this guy to influence you as a player. As a coach, who's influenced you the most?
First, Sean, right? First and foremost, Sean. When you go to LA in those years, it was like getting your PhD in coaching, right? You kind of forget about a lot of the things that you had previously learned in ways. Early on in my career, you learn from the types of Mark Whipple, Phil Estes at Brown, Don Brown at UMass as a player, my dad early on. So that you have a foundational piece there. Then you go to LA in 2018 and ultimately kind of have to forget some of that, not the foundational pieces and the core principles, but I learned so much about defensive football there. All right, how to attack those defensive structures, how do the fits and fallbacks on the defensive side of the ball affect the offense, how to attack. So first of all, you're with Sean, and then the guys that come through there, Zach Taylor, right, Kevin O'Connell, Jed Fish goes on to be the head football coach at UW. So many guys have come through there, and that's really those are the guys that you're learning from. And then this past year with Todd Bowles, I learned so much from Todd, just the steady consistency to just truly be yourself, and the rest will take care of itself.
You kind of had like a unique journey.
Yeah.
I mean, just where it went. Rams, Kentucky, back to Rams, then to Tampa Bay, right? I got that right there
Yep.
off the top of my head?
Yep.
Right? What kind of led to all of that
Yeah.
and kind of how you took that path?
So you look at 2020 COVID year, I'm the assistant quarterbacks coach, and Mark Stoops calls and gives me my first opportunity to go call plays,
Right.
really at that level. I had called it at Maine back in 2016-17, but Coach Stoops calls me, get an opportunity to go there in 21.
SEC football.
SEC football.
Right.
Hey, how does this system work in the college game, right? Then you go to, after that season, we go 10-3, have 3 offensive draft picks at Kentucky, first time since Tim Couch.
Right.
And Sean calls you back and wants you to go be a part of it. Understanding what that job and responsibility was, we have a challenging year, but what I kind of underestimated was I really wanted to call plays.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed calling plays and being with the offense that way. So go back to a place that, hey, we had familiarity with. My wife loved it there. We loved it as a family. And as you go through that year, other opportunities come, and you ultimately see the landscape of college football and where it was trending. And, hey, opportunity to go be with Baker, you couldn't pass it up.
Well, I just follow that up just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had so many coaches through the years, and we've had them tell us where they just go, hey, college is great, and I would work there again, but I didn't get to quite get the X's and O's. So was there a difference there as far as?
Especially in 2 years.
Okay,
Like
right.
from 2021
Right.
to 2023, there was a huge difference between that landscape.
Yeah.
The time that you ultimately have to do ball,
Right.
and also be a husband and be a father. And those were things that I valued at that time as well, that I didn't have maybe in years prior.
Right.
And there's no better place to go learn football than being in the National Football League.
Yeah.
There were some ruffled feathers on the way out the door in Tampa Bay. We were firm proponents, and the tape backs it up. You got to do what's right for you. The opportunity's there. You got to go do it. Where does that stand? Are there fences that need to be mended, or you just move on and you can't worry about it?
Yeah, we're moving forward. I mean, if I'm good with those players, those coaches, and those people that were there at the end of the day, we'll be all right. We'll be okay. Time heals. I think I have a ton of respect for that building, a ton of respect for the players, coaches and management there. Ton of respect. So was it perfect? No. Was it the cleanest exit that you could ever have? No. But ultimately did what was right for our family and for the people that I ultimately trust and believe in. And that's what ended up happening.
Was there a moment where you were like, oh, man, they're more upset about this than I thought.
This is getting more
because they
attention
seem
than I
pissed.
thought.
It always the metaverse, right? You know, those are the things that ultimately end up kind of impacting. And I don't have social media. I just don't have some of those avenues. So I wasn't looking. I cared about the players, cared about the coaches, and the respect of the people that ultimately brought me there.
One more on that metaverse topic. Did you have any idea as the Duval was coming out that it was going to become a thing?
Not at all. You know, I'm a quarterback by nature. Everybody's got a different cadence. I'm learning that cadence.
I love it.
And I'm excited about kind of getting some of that moving forward.
You ready to? You want to do another one? You want to try to
I'm all good.
balance out?
Duval, I'll do it for you.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, got it. I've heard them. They've yelled at me before, especially when it's come to your quarterback a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, let's hit on that. I mean, for incredible talent, people are wondering how good he is and if he's worth it. What are you seeing in his game, and what's your approach here with him?
He's super talented. He's mentally and physically tough. He wants to be great. Our conversations have been nothing but positive. I've been so excited about this. I actually watched him play as a freshman in high school live, and I was so impressed. I wasn't there to recruit him. I was at Brown recruiting somebody else there, and watched him play live. And I have a ton of respect for Trevor. I know where he wants to go, and think we can help get him there.
Where's the first block, or where do you start in the Liam Coen, coaching quarterback whisperer world, where you go, okay, I want to build this guy this way and rebuild him here?
We got to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, he's got to get into the playbook. He's got to learn some of the scheme, the motions, the formations, the shifts, the way that we communicate, our language. How do we speak our language?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the actual physical attributes, we got to start from the ground up, really get his feet in the right places and be able to kind of work with that. And I think that'll really onboard him in the right way.
Yeah.
I might have been traveling yesterday when the new GM of the Jaguars, James Gladstone, had his introductory press conference. How is the relationship between you two going to play out from the standpoint of final say over the draft, 53-man roster? Who's got the power when it comes to shaping the final appearance of the team?
Full collaboration. I mean, seriously, that was what he said yesterday, and I wholeheartedly agree. It can't be for us. We just don't feel like if it's one or the other, it's just never going to work, honestly, for us. We want to be completely in lockstep. Are we going to have disagreements? Absolutely. That's going to happen. But we've worked together in the past. We do understand each other's mode of operations, and really the connection that we've already built will help bridge some of those conversations when they do come up. And I have no worries about that being an issue.
But in theory, what if there's on a key question, two different opinions? Like, how does that get resolved organizationally? Does it go up to the owner?
Yeah, no, I think at the end of the day, we move on from that decision, right? Especially when it comes to players, right? Acquisitions. If we cannot find a middle ground whatsoever, we are completely on two opposite ends of the spectrum. There's plenty of other players. There's plenty of other people to go and move on to.
That's the healthiest way to do it, though.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear people start saying, "Well, I've got final say," or "This has got final," you've already lost.
We've lost.
Because you can't think in those terms.
That was literally the conversations throughout this process. If we can at least get here, we'll be all right. But if we're completely on opposite ends of the spectrum, we've got to move on from that decision because that's the healthiest way.
I just want you to hit on one more thing you kind of hit on. You talked about, like, when you went to see Sean, and you were like, oh, crap, they know a lot about defense. Mm-hmm. Is that something, I know playbook with Trevor and all that, but do you find that pretty common with the young quarterbacks especially, where you're like, they don't really know all the rules of these defenses all the way?
That's something we dive into very early. We do a quarterback school in the offseason.
Gotcha.
To where we're teaching defensive ID, defensive front recognition. How do we call these pressures? What does a nickel pressure look like pre-snap?
Right.
What are some of the coverage structures that we're going to get from some of these different shells? We do a complete quarterback school in the offseason, and it's dedicated right to defensive football.
Very cool.
All right, we got to let you run. You got plenty of better things to do than to talk to us. Even if it's just work on that.
Man.
You need work on it a little bit. Liam Coen, Jaguars head coach. We'll be back with more from Indianapolis. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.